Hey guys, Dylan from Noble Records coming at you with another video. So I love doing these videos to kind of give you an inside scoop of what it's like owning a record store. People bringing you records, you going out to dig for records. A lot of the videos that we do are like us going out to get these big collections and stuff like that. But there's a lot of everyday interactions that we have that a lot of people don't realize. You know, a lot of what we get is just people walking in with records. It happens all the time. And about 2/3 of the time, it's records that pretty much nobody would want. It just is genres that people don't like, or they're in really bad shape. And we're really not even that picky on what we buy. It's just stuff that you can't give away. You know, if it's something that I think somebody could enjoy, I'm not snobby, I'll buy it. You know, if it's John Denver or something like that that most record stores don't want, a lot of times we'll buy stuff like that. But if it's a lot of times it's stuff that's just really, it wouldn't even sell in the dollar bin type stuff. So, and it ranges. Like there's sometimes people bring stuff in and it's just absolutely jaw dropping. You're like, where did you get this? So it's very cool. It's very fun, and you never know what's coming in. You know, in the next 5 minutes. I had a guy. I bought a collection yesterday and I wanted to share it with you guys. Very interesting collection, but there's a gentleman that I had dealt with a couple times in the past. So maybe 2 years ago, he was moving and like his U-Haul, he was driving past the shop and he ended up selling me like a huge chunk of his collection. And then like 6 months ago, he came back and he sold me the rest. So it was a bunch of audiophile stuff. This guy was a very, very savvy collector. A lot of really good stuff. If it was a vintage press, it was like a first UK Beatles, mono, or whatever. Like he was very in tune with what sounded good. So it was either an audiophile pressing or everything. There was absolutely zero junk. It was all good stuff. And so I got kind of excited. He called me a couple weeks ago and he was like, hey, I got this collection. He said, a friend of mine's father passed away and these records have been sitting in a basement for like 40 years or whatever. And he said, I don't know if you could use them, they're jazz records. I think there's some Blue Note stuff in there. There's some Impulse stuff in there. So I think that you might be able to use some of these records. There's some stuff I think that would be good. So I was like, heck yeah, bring it. I'm you know, and I've been in Jazz Town. I mean, it's been unbelievable with the Voice of America collection. If you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to go back and look. I've just bought the most insane jazz collection, but I'm always looking for more. So yesterday was the day he was going to bring him in. He brought him in just before the shop opened. I kind of scheduled a time with him to where we would not be interrupted. And he brings in these boxes, and the records are destroyed. I mean, they are in terrible shape. There's some good titles in there, but it's a lot of junk. And it's jazz, but it's not not really, you know, there's jazz and then there's jazz that sells, you know. You guys know the jazz that sells, the Blue Notes, the Prestige, the Impulse, you know, the John Coltrane. I mean, anything, that stuff I'm looking for like crazy and you can't find clean. But this was a bunch of lower level stuff. We call it $6.99 jazz at the shop because it's usually about $6.99. It's not like a real expensive jazz record, and it's not like a real cheap jazz record where it's a dollar bin thing, but it's just kind of like right there in the middle. Some people collect $6.99 jazz. There's a lot of people that they've been collecting jazz for a really long time, so they kind of will trade in all their $6.99 jazz as they move up the ranks to collect more, you know, rare stuff or whatever. They graduate to doing, you know, spending more money on stuff. And then sometimes people, they just stay right there in that $6.99 jazz lane and they love it. And so it is, you know, it does sell, but it doesn't sell quite as well and fast as the others. So I'm flipping through and it's a lot of, I'm like, man, I just expected it to be better than this. It's just not very good. I was a little disappointed. And then he said, well, this box over here has some better stuff in it. So I grabbed that box and I'm looking through it. And I see this J.J. Johnson, Proof Positive. And I was like, all right, that's a pretty good Impulse title. White label promo. I was like, I don't get a lot of Impulse white label promos. I love white label promos, love them. The Impulse ones, I just don't ever see them. Even in the Voice of America, there was only like 2 in there. And so this was in like decent shape. I was like, it's a good Impulse title, decent shape, white label promo. I'll take that any day of the week. Yes. Hope there's more where that came from. So I'm flipping through, and by the way, you see these things in sleeves now. I took the time to clean all these with my ultrasonic cleaner, most of them anyways. And as I've gone through, I'm just going to show you some of the good ones that I found. Flip through, junk, and then, oh man. We got 3 for Shep, Marion Brown. Really good, kind of avant-garde, free jazz. But this one, unfortunately, was not a white label promo, so I was like, that's okay. Still a really great first mono. Excellent impulse title. This one's probably like a VG. Some of them had water damage. It has a little bit of water damage up here. I think one of the boxes got wet, so there was some really good stuff that just got trashed. And I'll show you that in a flip video later or some of that. But this one I was thrilled that did. It's not too bad. It's something I could still enjoy. Impulse. And then I'm flipping through. Oh man. East Broadway Rundown, Sonny Rollins, and open it up, boom, white label promo. And this one is so clean. It's like near mint, never been played, excellent condition. I put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. It cleaned up like a freaking dream. I'm thinking, yes, that's a great one. So flip it through. John Coltrane Quartet. This is one that I've had tons of copies of this before, but I've never had a first mono white label promo. This one, brilliant record, great stuff. And the disc on this is not too bad. It's probably a VG. The cover does have some water damage, a little bit right here, a little bit right here, but the disc is really clean, so that's nice. I might like Frankenstein this thing and get a better cover down the road or something like that. So flip. Got this one, The Awakening Amajamal Trio. This one is probably a VG, and it's, you know, standard label. I don't know if they did a white label promo of this, but it wasn't a white label promo, but that's fine because this is a really rare record, really tough to find. Excellent, you know, jazz piano. It's got that sample, that Nas Illmatic sample. So I was thrilled to see that. It's a great title. Well, I guess I do see it sometimes, but it's a great title. Love to get it in the shop. Got this Gabor Szabo Jazz Rega. First mono white label promo, very clean, very nice. So you have to think about, like, I'm going through like trash. Whoa, trash, yeah. So it's kind of nice. We got this. This is not a huge title or anything, but it's a nice record. Oliver Nelson Sound Pieces. This one I hadn't cleaned yet, but I can't remember. Yep, it's a white label promo. Not in too bad a shape. I didn't have this yet. This one. This is not an Impulse. This is a Harold Land Quintet, The Peacemaker. Excellent record. It's got Harold Land, Bobby Hutcherson, Joe Sample, Donald Bailey, Buster Williams. Yeah, this is a great one. I already have this one, but this one is a promo. It's on this like blue Deep Groove Cadet promo label. So I'll probably sell my other copy that I have on Whatnot. Just a caveat on this coming Sunday. If you're watching this video, this coming Sunday, I'm doing a big Whatnot live stream selling a lot of really great jazz. So some of this stuff might end up on that. And if it doesn't, some of this stuff that I have doubles for might end up on it. So anyways, keep that in mind. The link's in the description. But we do these live auctions, like really great 30-second auctions. You know, sometimes they go low, sometimes they go high, but they always go. I start them at $1. So anyways, getting into, I got some more Blue Notes. I might get in the Blue Notes a little bit later. Another Gabor Szabo, The Sorcerer. Love this record. I've got a really nice copy of this, but this is a really clean first mono white label promo. So I'm trucking, I'm doing good. Like a lot of the Impulse I'm pulling out are white label promos. Are like, this is more white label promo Impulse that I've ever found in one place. I was thrilled. Granted, some of them are not like near mint. Some of them are kind of, you know, VG plus, couple of hairlines. There's a little bit of water damage on some of them, but I'm not too much of a snob not to enjoy and like realize like the value of, hey, these are really sweet white label promos that you never see. McCoy Tyner, Reaching Forth. I love McCoy Tyner. I didn't have this title. This is a first mono, not a white label promo, but still thrilled to own it. Have never found a copy of this before, and this is a really nice clean copy. Curtis Fuller, Soul Trombone, first mono. Decent copy. Thrilled to have that. Not a white label promo. So like I'm going through having a pretty good track record, and then I come across and I'm like, oh my. This pops up. And I'm like, please God, I'll never curse again. Please let this be a white label promo, please. I've got a first mono that's like stone mint. I've got a first stereo that's in pretty good shape. I've never seen a white label promo. And so I'm like, there's been so many white label promos, please. Bam. First mono white label promo. The cover is in really good shape. This was the only record in the whole collection that had a plastic sleeve on it. Yeah, and this plastic sleeve looked like it had been to hell and back, but it was there and it did its job and it protected the record. And the disc is probably a strong VG, somewhere in the territory between VG and VG plus. You know, some very light marks, nothing too crazy, but I'm just thrilled to find a nice white label promo of this in this heap of garbage. I was thrilled. And then we'll get to some Blue Notes here. Oh, so I got a big, the last record I'm going to show you is a massive Blue Note. Unbelievable. This one is Hank Mobley. High Voltage didn't have this Hank Mobley record. Jackie McLean, John Hicks, Bob Cranshaw, Billy Higgins, Blue Mitchell. Listen to this already and it sounds great. It's in great shape. Excited. That's a first stereo, 67 I believe. And this actually was a first stereo as well. This is one of my favorite Blue Notes. Art Blakey, Monin. One of my favorite Blue Notes. This was a decent copy and it's a first stereo. Was excited to see this in there. I think this one's better than the one I already had, so I'll probably swap them out. But yeah, this being one of my favorites, I've never had a really clean first mono. So that one's on the list. I'd like to get at some point, and I will. It's not like a really uncommon one, but you know, one of these days. One Step Beyond, Jackie McLean. This is a first mono Blue Note. This is a great record. I just got one of these. It's a little dirty. I need to clean it up, but it's in nice shape. I just got one of these from the Voice of America. Gretchen Monker III, Jackie McLean, Bobby Hutcherson, Anthony Williams. Great lineup. Tremendous record. And I don't know, I think mine that I got is a little cleaner than this, so I'll probably sell this one. And there's another one I just got an original copy of. It's Time, Jackie McLean. Fantastic Blue Note. And this one's in decent shape too. It's first mono. It needs a bath in the ultrasonic, but was thrilled to see that one in there. And then towards the end of, so there were 5 small boxes, so there's probably like 30 or 40 records in each box. So towards the last box, I pull out this heater. Oops. John Coltrane Blue Train. This is a 58 mono without the circle R on the Blue Note. Never had a 58 mono. I always end up finding like a 59 or 60. So really cool. And this thing, it looks just, here's how I found it. It looks just pitiful. It's definitely been sitting in some water at some point. It's not in the best shape. It looks like it's probably like a G+. It's got mold all over it, and it's just disgusting, but it's worth saving. I saw it and I was like, oh man, and I pull it out and I don't see that circle R and I'm like, oh man. And then I was like, well shoot, it's still like trashed. So he was like, oh man, I'm sorry. There was some records that I was gonna throw in the dumpster. That was one of them. We were gonna throw that one away because it's just in such bad shape. There's no way anybody would ever want it. And I was like, hold on a minute. This is a 58 mono Blue Train. So the cover's trash. The cover's not great. The disc is, it looked G+ to me. Just a lot of hairlines, and it was the dust and dirt and mold was caked on there so thick. I was like, I don't know if this is gonna clean up. I mean, Blue Notes are hardy, but this one's like, ugh. So anyways, so last night I took it and I ran it through the ultrasonic at the highest, setting twice, and ended up wiping some of it off, and it's actually not too bad. It came out pretty decent. It's definitely got a lot of hairlines, and then that mold stain right there, that's as good as it's gonna get. So anyways, I'm thrilled to have 58 mono. This is a strong VG. It plays really well. I already listened to it. It's got a lot of light hairlines, but nothing that's feelable. I'm thrilled to have a 58 mono, and I'm going to be the caretaker for this one until I find a cleaner one, and I'll pass it on to somebody else. But it's a cool one. You know, for me, it's not really about the value of it. I know that from a monetary value standard, it's not gonna get that. I think an original of this once sold for, I mean, I think it was like $14,000 or something like that, and but it was like a near mint copy. This one in this shape, it's not gonna do. I mean, you'd be very lucky to probably get a couple $100 for it. But just historically, what it is very cool, and I was glad I could rescue it and I can enjoy it. And it's a 58 mono. I've got one, so I'm happy about that. Some of you jazz snobs might be like, huh, but hey, I'm happy. And that's what this video is all about. So anyway, so he said, you know, I did keep a few of the Blue Notes out of there. I picked some out. And I was like, oh, really? You know, what did you get? And he's like, can I show you? And you not freak out and try to buy them? I was like, I'm cool as a cucumber. I'm not going to try to buy anything. I'm thrilled to get these. And he pulls out 5 records. And I'm trying to remember what they all were. So he had a first pressing Joe Henderson Page 1, which I would have been frothing at the mouth to get had I not already had one. I got one from the Voice of America. He got a Art Blakey that was in there that I already had, so I wasn't too upset about that one. And he had, I think he had a John Coltrane record. Anyways, I didn't focus too much on them because they all were, and then they had like a Hank Mobley turnaround, which I already have a nice copy of that. And so, and then the 5th record, which I saw it and I was like, dang it, I'm gonna be bad. I'm gonna make him an offer. This was Wayne Shorter, Juju. Excellent, really nice first mono that was in there. This is probably, I mean, there's a lot of really good records in the collection. Like the Love Supreme was probably the best one. There's a lot of great ones, but this, I didn't have this record. I've been wanting this record for a really long time. I was like, man, you don't need this record. Sell it to me. And he's like, well, it is a little bit outside of, you know, my comfort zone with jazz. You know, this is a little bit out there, a little bit of a strange record, a little bit, just a little bit. And I love that kind of thing, and I'm all in it. So I said, let me make you a very strong offer. So anyways, on the other records, he had told me, he's like, you know, I'd be happy to get, because he was going to pass the money along to the original owner. He said, I'd be happy to get, like, I think he said like $400 or $500 for him. And I was like, nah, dude. I gave him a lot more than that for it, because I was like, that's, you know, I got to do a little bit better than that. There's some good stuff in here. I mean, I can go crazy because there's condition issues on some of these, but for the most part, there's some really nice things in there. And that Love Supreme white label promo really pushed it over the edge. So I gave him considerably more than that for him. And then when it came to this one, I made him a very strong offer on it. And you know, we heed and hawed over it a little bit, and then he accepted the offer, so I ended up getting this and adding this to the personal collection. Super stoked to get this one. So, you know, I'll show you a flip video, just the rest of the stuff. It was one of those things, also, like when you're buying a collection that somebody's bringing in, sometimes as a shop owner, you pick, so what I usually do, it makes it a little bit easier. If you just look at everything and say, hey, I'll give you this amount for all these records, they're thinking, okay, well, you offered me this much, so this is $2 per record or whatever, and it might not break down like that really. It might be like, okay, you're offering $40 for this record, $30 for that record, and the rest of them you don't really want, you know. And so what I usually do is I pick out a handful of records that I can actually use. Like, these are the good ones, I can use these, and this is what I gave you for these, so these are the more valuable ones. Boom. And the rest of this stuff is going to go in the $1 bin or the $3 bin, or it might be $5, it might be $10, but this stuff is on another lower level, and I'll give you X amount for the rest of this stuff. That's the way I do it. So they're seeing where the value is, like, okay, these are more valuable, they're in better shape, they're more valuable titles, and the rest of that stuff's just kind of like, you know, not trash, but not something that somebody's going to want to pay a lot of money for. So that's kind of what I did, and he was like, you know what, we rather would just sell everything. He didn't want to bring any records back. The previous owner didn't want the records back. They just wanted them to be repopulated back into the world and people to be able to enjoy them again. So I just made him offer on everything, and he said good. Here's some decent stuff that was in there that, not too bad, that was actually kind of in the good pile. Here's the rest of the stuff, and this stuff is not, it's not the best. Some of this stuff has condition issues. Some of it it's just not the right thing, you know. Some of it's not a good title. But you know, I looked over these very well. If you're seeing like a really good record in there, the reason why it's not in the good piles because it's just in bad shape. So a lot of these records, you know, it might normally be like a $30 or $40 record. It's in bad shape, put in the dollar bin, somebody's happy. So anyways. That was a collection, kind of an inside scoop of how these things go. I hope to sometime in the future get get somebody to film some of these interactions so they can see, you know, this is what it's like interacting with the customers. Hard to do that with a camera there, you know, because people are not going to act how they normally would. But I usually can act like I normally would just because I always have a camera in the room. But so that's something I'd like to do at some point. But this was a cool one. I thought I would show you that, you know, even though when you see a stack of records and you're like, oh, this is all trash, sometimes there's some really good diamonds in the rough. In this case, you know, I guess I bought like maybe 250 records, and there was a small stack of stuff, but it was absolute heat, and I'm thrilled to add some of it to the shop, a lot of it to my personal collection, and we just keep rolling. So thank y'all for watching this video. What's the rarest jazz record that you've ever found? If you've been watching this video this long, tell me what the rarest jazz record you've ever found. I love hearing people's stories about them going and finding something at a yard sale or flea market or a thrift store for $1. That's the story I want to hear. Hit me in the comments. Hope you guys had fun watching this. We'll see you guys next time.